incubation here is generally over a period of 18 to 36 months. And during that time, like I said, we try and offer anything and everything that is required, to be specific, obviously they get space within Research Park, sometimes free to subsidize rented space. They have access to various labs, fabrication facilities, both on campus, and we are creating something on the same scale here and within the Research Park. Obviously, they get associated with the brand. Then we have business support services. These are professionals, consultants that we have in-house, and they are able to provide the necessary accounting, company secretary, legal, HR, all the business support services that are absolutely necessary for startups which are all private limited companies to operate. And we are dealing with entrepreneurs who are primarily engineers here. So this element is extremely important, which many overlook when they start off a business. Mentorship is one of the key support that we deeply value, and again we will speak in detail tomorrow. We have a couple of panel discussions also on this front. Here we have leveraged our alumni network, faculty members, our industry and investor partners as well, who play a very important role in mentoring our starters from very early days, where they perhaps are just building prototypes, to a stage where they may be scaling or in terms of strategy to enter the market, all kind of things. So we try and go back. And there are various other that help startups to hire fresh graduates from these colleges as well. And just finally, this is my almost nearing. In addition to all this support, obviously seed funding is also very important for companies, especially working in these kinds, where we come in, where we provide some amount of funding for them to validate their prototype perhaps, to build their minimal viable product, do their initial customer validations. And so we've been fortunate, and we do put in a lot of our effort in terms of creating this and sustaining the startup fund corpus. At the range of 5 to 50 lakhs is what we do. And our primary donors, our supporters here are our alumni that have donated. Unifor is an artificial intelligence company into voice analytics. PyBeam is what Raj just mentioned to you about, these three-wheelers. So it's not all drastic pivoting that has taken place. And that's primarily because we've been able to do that. Pivot has happened because it's been demanded by the market. And what the center point or the reason for that pivot and the success story is because of the founding team.
If you could, yeah. Sorry, sir. I know there may be a lot of questions, sir, but if you see, there is an.
We will get into the individual process.
The entire processes,
application, selection process, how do we evaluate? That's there tomorrow on the agenda. I didn't want to get into that today. Professor Ashok will also be there.
So right now we're just going to take a small break to kind of give you a tour of the key players in this ecosystem.
4 or 5 panels. So we are hoping that VCs will be there, but I find that none of the VCs are there. So, but I think I prepared my talk more with VCs in mind. So that also. There will be future VCs. So then you have to ensure that. Very good. So I think with that I hand over to Tamaswati. You want to say something? Later.
Good morning, everyone. Again, yesterday, both Raj Subramaniam, that you met, the CTO of Research Park, and myself, tried to give you a very brief overview of what Research Park is all about, the incubation cell, the startup ecosystem that we have here. And you also got a chance to see some of our incubators, met with just a few of our startups. So what I'll try to do in the next 15 minutes or so is Just to go a little bit deeper into the processes and the operations we have, we have a faculty in charge, Professor Manish, and then the rest are eminent industrialists, entrepreneurs, serial entrepreneurs of the incubation support that we provide to our startups. Also wanted to point out is we also have Umesh Sajdev, the last photograph that you see. He is the committees, the management, do our necessary operations, which I'll get into. We also have created, and that brings in a lot of professionalism, thoroughness, the ability to do, and like I pointed yesterday, we currently have a total portfolio just over 196, approaching 200 companies. Behind these companies, the founders of these companies, I had shown you the pie chart yesterday, where that gives you. So if you see, while 60% of the entrepreneurs that is associated with IT, meaning they are probably faculty, students, including alumni, not joined us in the incubation effort, and so these external entrepreneurs experience working for maybe a few years to many years in the industry. Some are professionals, for example, in the health. I'm just giving you a picture.
Do raise these issues. They're very important issues.
Yeah. So a lot of the entrepreneurs, a lot of the startups that are incubated here, they informal manner. So informal inquiries happen, emails are sent, they walk in, irrespective of the background of the entrepreneur. And it is the role of the management to assess at that level itself what kind of support that is necessary. By support I mean, are they ready enough to move on to the next stage, which is apply for incubation, be evaluated, and so forth. Or they are at a very early stage perhaps and require some kind of support, maybe at the technology front, or to figure out the business aspect also. So we try to gauge all that at a very early stage and not make people go through an elaborate application process actually here. The ones who are ready or feel they are ready to start a commercial venture do apply to us for incubation. 3 to 6. Now what do we mean by that? Well, you're looking at the founders' commitment level, their ability to take risks. Do they have any other young people, right? So excited about the idea of the technology that they're building, they may not have thought of all the rest of the challenges that await. What about the market? Do they understand the market well enough? I mean, is there a need in the market that they have identified? And the technology feasibility also. Is it just the idea in their head, or they have done some proof of concept? So these are things that are assessed at this level. Very informal assessment that takes place, and it converts into exceptionally good mentoring in the early days. Professor Ashok, we are so fortunate that he spends so much of his time doing this, meeting these teams at that stage. And through this process, we are able to evaluate who can go forward for a final formal evaluation by our incubation committee. So, like I said, the incubation committee has been formed for the final formalization, approval of incubation into any one of these incubators. The committee members comprises serial entrepreneurs, they are industrialists, many are domain experts that have led or built startups. That is very, very important. And I've captured a few of the names that are associated with our incubation assessment process itself. And you will find eminent personalities like CEO and founder of Metal Healthcare, to domain experts in the medical industry, engineering sectors. We also have faculty that are part of these committees, but you're not looking at the academic assessment. And it's assessed by the committee entirely based on the extent of support that is required by the startup. What to highlight over there is no funding commitment at the time of incubation. So the assessment here is not to provide any kind of funding support And that is an expectation that none of the startups have when they come and join the incubation program. We make it
I want to point out look at the committee. Raju Venkatraman, Dr. Bhuneshwar, he is academic turned entrepreneur. One of the most well-known person, he was the director of this institute. Dr. Bhuneshwar is considered the most well-known scientist, but has become an entrepreneur. He is he's a director of, just check that out. And Dr. Shishadri Prem Kumar, Sendal Nathan, Mohan Shankar, Krishna Kumar from Sankar Netralaya, Kannan, a domain expert and entrepreneur. There are very, very few IITM faculty. So one of the lessons that I am going to tell you, that do not put in these committees faculty members. Because when we get faculty members, have no expertise in this. They may be very good academicians, but they have not done this. And we'll make wrong decisions. And I have seen incubator after incubator filling these committees with faculty members.
In addition to that, they do have access to labs, facilities, not just in the centers of excellence within Research Park. For example, the battery center that we went to, or the healthcare center, where they have extensive lab facility, bio-incubator and so. They also can get access to, with following the right guidelines within the campus as well. Whether it's the incubation cell staff or faculty members that are mentoring or guiding them are able to help them with these kind of access elements. In addition to that, obviously business support services. So we have professionals, consultants that are in-house consultants that provide support in terms of accounting, company secretary, legal, IP-related matters, HR.
All one person. The only person who I am the faculty member, who is the staff of IIT, but I don't hold. If we try to take any advantage, you have been on. And this is one of the reasons, and you have to be very careful. This is what, it is very different way of running. It has to be, and then you will get people like Gurgaon. Putting people. To come and say, okay, I'm going to spend significant amount of time. Otherwise, you try to meet him, you won't even get 5 minutes. And our young incubatees, fresh incubatees are the ones we put them in front of. You need to attract these people by actually becoming your role model. And you have to present that confidence that you will overcome all obstacles and make them successful. The objective is, can some of these companies become a 5,000 crore company? That's an objective, yes.
About the faculty mapping and the technology mentorship, is that a paid assignment? You're just doing it for some consulting?
No, that's not what that's not the meaning behind it.
Can you go on? Explain to me.
Yes. So, because our startups are primarily deep technology startups, there is and perhaps the founders themselves may not have certain expertise. So what we try to do is try and map them. By mapping, I mean to a faculty who can advise them in the early days. Now, what evolves from that interaction can go in different directions, right? So there is no fees associated, no consultancy kind of an arrangement. It's just like a student would approach a professor, right, for whatever advice. Something very similar.
But a professor can be a part of the company. In fact, if you saw a significant percentage of our company, faculty member is faculty member. Now I'll give you some statistics. Before we started this research park, almost 9 years back, 7% of our faculty used to work with industry. Today, over 50% faculty work with industry. And not counting the ones who have done the startups. You will see a complete change in culture. You have to give some time once they see right thing being done, it changes, for example, it changes the way we teach. We now never teach from books. Don't even teach from journal articles. Fundamentals, yes, we pick up, but beyond that, we actually teach from experience. It changes our teaching, it changes the kind of R&D that we do. If you want, no, there are faculty members who want to remain conventional and do R&D purely in academic domain, theoretical domain. It's perfectly fine. Let them do that, but the numbers will go down. I mean, so there will be a lot more, and this is not just India. If you look at MIT, 50% of faculty members are involved in industry. Maybe more, maybe 40% are not involved. So there are people, they are theoreticians. But don't think that good theoreticians, for example, many Nobel Prize winners now have all set up industry. The latest one who did lithium ion has been a serial entrepreneur. From University of Texas, somebody got the lithium ion. He's been a serial entrepreneur. Because his batteries would have never seen anything the light of the day if you
Fully understood, because this is a value which is the current value of the cost of shares, but it will realize, not realize, we don't know. It will depend. The company may be doing extremely well, tomorrow may just collapse and suddenly we will lose. But otherwise the current value of the shares is 700 crores. But I have to be blunt. In one way, you are in the most difficult situation. In one way, you are in the most privileged situations. Privileged in the sense that when they are coming to you, they are straight away giving to you 15 crores. It's a very good starting point. You can't get something better than that. And there will be huge resistance. Many of our staff are there as a so-called government employees who are not fireable in IIT. In fact, we at times are able to get good work out. Depends. Many times we are not able to. Now these are important lessons that if we therefore fall in the same, and such madam, the same thing will be true for ministry. At times you are able to get good work out of your staff. They are very good staff. Very good people in the government. But there are also people get away by God. So I think, and we are saddened. Now, one of the first things that you have to do, you also have a situation where somewhere entrepreneurship culture has been lost. I will say traditionally we were a fairly entrepreneurial country, but somewhere it has been lost.
society. Once you start transforming them, and the transforming will take 10 years, 15 years, 20 years. Do not worry. But you make mistakes, you will only hurt the process rather than help it. Today, the dilemma of Saraswati versus Lakshmi has gone in the minds of people. It started going around 2004 when we had set up in Department of Science and Technology the first funding for the incubator. I remember, even that time people were arguing. So it started going from there and gradually changed. Primitively India changed. From 2004, we have made great progress. 2003, the ideas were there. Somewhere there started becoming formal. Before that, everything was informal. And from there, that time onwards, things have changed. And I've moved to a stage where today entrepreneurship and private sector is looked at in a very, very different way. So what I am going to do is ramble. I prepared this late in the night when I was coming from Delhi. So please pardon me if there are mistakes. I'll correct it and improve upon it. And I'll keep talking about it. And please, sorry, I can do it from here. Okay. Participating in that have become very big. They built things, they got the confidence, I got the confidence. I started learning things that you can build things. In my personal journey about building things and entrepreneurship started with that. It was a micro mouse that built in 1981.
Unfortunately, we don't have pictures and all that, but the way we did it and created it in open house. This is important. This is something easy to do today because I'm seeing many universities and institutes are starting to do that. What does it do? Center for Innovation, Tinkering Lab. I didn't see them, they somehow passed with an E grade. Somehow managed to pass. Part of the reason I almost tried to push them to E grade because next year I'll see the same people with the same attitude and same interest. What is a great point? And I was very concerned about several people. But I knew them. And I saw them, they started building this robotics. At that time it was a toy thing. They started building it. They got good at it. They even won here and there some prizes. They were spending a lot of time. End of second year when they were doing this, they said, "Sir, we did not learn our microprocessor well. But we now need to learn that to be able to go further." Well, that's a problem. See, as a faculty, all of us, how many of us remember what we have learned in your own undergraduate? We have learned throughout. We keep on learning. I had probably people, most of you would know about Professor C.N.R. Rao, in chemistry. He was my teacher. But in one of the classes, he came and he was teaching half-life of an electron. And while teaching that, suddenly somebody asked him, "What is the half-life of knowledge? Technical knowledge." And he turned around. He said, "Wow, very interesting question. I'll spend time on this." And he says, half-life of what we are teaching you is 4 years. In 4 years, half of what we are teaching is going to get obsolete. In 8 years, 1/3/4 will get obsolete. So we asked him, "But then, sir, what is the great point in learning?" He looked at us and he says, "You know what I'm doing? I'm teaching you so that you can learn to learn. And you have to learn throughout your life. Once you know how to learn, you will pick up on your own. If you don't, you will stop learning your dead. Technically. That's an important thing that I saw. So these students also have to learn for the next 30, 40 years, 45 years. They come in at our place when they are 18. They have to work at least for 45 years more. They have to learn. So it doesn't matter if you haven't learned one thing at one time. The way we teach, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. In fact, some of my best students, people who are absolutely top in technology, were 6-pointers in my class. Not my class, the whole institute. It doesn't matter. Listen to them, you can ask them to once in 3 months or 6 months present what is going on. You can give them advice, but stay away. Don't try to run it. If you try to run it, they will treat it as a class. Then they will cut classes and then proxy will happen. All of us know that, sir. We are all living in India, and I don't think there is much difference between one university and another. Well, there is, but not similar. Students are similar. To bring in more Indian examples. If, for example, somebody from Orissa has become good and there are enough people who have come, bring them in. Let the experience talk. Let them see role models. Okay? Here you can hold innovation challenges, hackathons, competitions, visit to start an exhibition. Get them to come and visit here. See what has been created. I have no problem. We will hire people. She has enough money. We will take people around all the time. Every day we can do it. Concept, very simple concept. Did you meet Kesipur by any chance? No. Very simple concept. How did India gain the confidence over the last 30-35 years? I remember F.C. Kohli. Most of you know about F.C. Kohli, the founder of TCS. In 1974, when I was a student, came to IIT Kanpur. And he said that what I will do is that many of our young students are just going, bright students graduating from IIT are just going abroad and working in IT services company in US and Europe, I am going to bring that work here. With small computers and a link, I somehow bring the work here. People will do work from here and we will get the money. That's how we started. But gradually that succeeded. A big success. And Smita will say that it will be a hard person. But where did this hardness come from? One of my young entrepreneurs today who runs 1,000 crore was a person from Umesh Malhotra and Ravi Saraogi were studying in a Delhi University, Delhi College, and some private college, not that level, not that bad, but nowhere even tier 2, very lower tier of tier 2 college. And they got this point that they will not get and they wrote to me and they said, sir, I want to meet you. You come to Delhi. I said, I do come to Delhi. I want to look like that. After a lot of mails and all that, I said, fine, one thing we can do. When I come to Delhi, I'll let you know. You come to the airport and ride with me in the car. In fact, you can ride, if I have 3 meetings, I'll first go to UGC, then I'll go somewhere else, then I'll go somewhere. In between, I'll get half an hour, 45 minutes driving back. And they did that. They did it 4 or 5 times. Gradually got ready to there, and then jumped in and came here, incubated like Sarona. And in our India, we were the first incubating of the most successful one, and started working on things. I got them to do one. Gave them small stipend also to live. You allow them to live, particularly upon them from Delhi, so minimum. But and that was very harsh. I helped them with a small amount of first 15, 20 times. And I got them so harsh to them. Write a personal note of guarantee, with stamp, put it into envelope